This is my party jacket.
Whoa!
Right here, dog. This is when I come
I didn't
in
know
looking
you were in the
fresh,
movie.
baby. This is when I come in looking fresh, doggy.
Let's go. They missed a character right here. They should have put this guy in the movie.
Exactly, bruh.
It's ready to go.
I got my headshots all done, man. Ready to rock, man.
Yes. Welcome to Fresh Out, the streaming edition. I'm JC.
And I'm Cood.
And we're fresh out of streaming the Bikeriders.
Oh, yeah.
Main cast we got here is Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, and directed by Jeff Nichols. And hey, this was a pretty solid movie.
It was solid, dude, and it made me want to buy a bike until like people started getting hurt on bikes, and then I was like, I'm not getting a bike.
Right? And I think, like, you know, it always starts off looking at as this appealing thing and everybody's looking so cool on the bikes, but reality sets in, right? Even in this film, they're going to show the realities of riding a bike and what that's going to entail. Sometimes it's a freak accident, sometimes it's a planned thing based on, you know, a motorcycle gang or, you know.
So they're not a gang. So this is the coolness of this movie. Just a brief overview, synopsis, whatever, of the movie. This is about a group of friends that love motorcycles.
Yes.
They race motorcycles. Motorcycles is their life. Outside of their regular jobs and their regular families, they go and this is their lifestyle, is riding bikes, right? And so the coolness of this movie is it kind of shows, because when you think about motorcycle club now, you think of motorcycle gang.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is the beginning of motorcycle clubs where there wasn't illegal activity going on. There wasn't killings going on. There wasn't drugs involved. You know what I mean? Like, these were just a group of friends that all had a common interest of riding motorcycles. They'd get really trashed at bars and maybe cause some trouble.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were the rebels or whatever.
Sure.
But overall, this isn't like the Hells Angels. This isn't like the motorcycle gangs that we think about now. You know what I mean? When you see a pack of motorcyclists, you're just like, okay, they're banging. Like,
yeah.
This is pre that, and that is the coolness of this plot. Is it's basically Tom Hardy is the leader of this motorcycle club. He got the idea from just watching TV.
Oh, yeah. And
right?
I really loved in this film the references they do to these classic motorcycle films. Yep. I'll just name a couple, like Easy Rider.
Yep.
There was another one I'm blanking on.
With Marlon Brando.
Yes.
I forgot what that one was called. But
the wild one, I think?
That's
maybe,
where he got the
like
idea from. He's just watching Marlon Brando. He's like,
yep.
Yo, I want to start a motorcycle club because he's already into it. It's already their hobby. May as well, right? So this movie is a really cool history of the old school, we have regular jobs and regular families guys starting a motorcycle club, into the new school guys that are a little bit more troublemakers. They're a little bit looser cannons.
Yeah, and you can tell as far as like how the movie begins, it's about the passion, this camaraderie, this group, this second family. It's not about like this kind of like status symbol or like trying to kind of, I don't know.
It's about just the love of the bikes.
It's just the love. There's more. There's much more love than you would think in the beginning, and then it shows how it evolves into kind of what we see today, unfortunately, with certain kind of more, you know, related as gangs, right? Like the Cood put it perfectly. It's a club that kind of turns into a gang, and we see that journey.
Yeah, and that's the coolness of it, because you see the old school mixed with the new school, where they conflict in certain ways of, like, you know, violence or drug use or...
Yep.
So this is a really cool thing. So the look and feel of this movie was spot on. The music that was played in the soundtrack, it really gave me a... like I said to JC while we were watching it, it gave me a Goodfellas vibe of, like, the first half of the movie when it's like introducing characters, introducing what the idea of the motorcycle gang club is, Just the whole feel and the tone and the speed at which they were narrating it.
Yes.
Kathy, what's her name?
Jodie Comer.
Jodie Comer. So she is the narrator for most of the movie because there's a person that was in, what is Feist?
Oh yeah, Mike Feist, who you've probably seen him in Challengers, West Side Story. He's kind of the cameraman. He's the one, you know.
He's the journalist of the crew.
Exactly.
He's making a book out of this motorcycle club, and he is either getting audio or taking pictures. And it's a real book, and I definitely want to look this up later because we just finished watching it. I definitely want to look it up later to see like what the actual book is and what the actual motorcycle club is, because I wonder, is it the Vandals? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Or like, did they change the name just for the movie?
Exactly.
But that'd be cool if it was the Vandals and like it was all things, because at the end of the movie they show pictures in the credits of like the real people,
actual people, and like you can tell,
is really cool.
Yeah, you can tell like the costumes are like pretty much identical.
Dude,
costume design was
just like
on
we were
point.
saying. The costumes, the feel, the overall look, like everything was weathered. Like the leather was beat up. It was like dirty. Their faces were dirty. Their shirts were dirty. Like, I hate when I see a movie and from a certain era and it's just like super clean and I'm just like, what is this, a musical?
Yeah.
This is not good.
Yeah.
And so this movie was spot on with just design, costume design, just overall feel and look, spot on, dude.
Yep.
Spot on.
Yep. I would absolutely agree. I feel like also the acting, right? You're trying to kind of put yourself in this time with these actors or, you know, these characters. And the accents, you could tell, I mean, they absolutely nailed him. Especially Jodie Comer. I feel like that was an interesting one because, you know, you can tell it's set, I believe, in Chicago, at least from, like, you know, their origin of the biker club. But I think she has, it sounds almost like Minnesotan.
Midwestern. Definitely.
Yes, yeah.
The Midwestern. And even Tom Hardy, who's English, does a cool, like, accent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, Austin Butler just sounds like a regular guy.
That's fair.
He
Yeah,
sounds like a regular
I know, that's a good point.
He doesn't have an accent at all, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I feel like after he did Elvis, like, he's all accented out. It's all good.
So I heard, not to get off point, but like, I heard that when he did Elvis, like, he was just walking around just being Elvis everywhere.
I think
in
so.
Interviews, everything.
Oh, yeah.
He just changed into Elvis. He went so in depth with that role.
I think it was at least a year, maybe even 2 years of like preparation and like really like living the character of, you know, Elvis, like researching his whole life.
Yeah. And this acting was good in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that is one of the bright spots. Like, this movie is, I can't really say that anything is bad about this movie. I can't say that anything is, like, not entertaining. Like, I was entertained the whole time. So, basically, midway through, maybe it slowed down a little bit to kind of get more of the storyline out. But you can't have, like, breakneck speed the whole movie.
Yeah.
When it's doing the introductions and it's all, like, doing the cool 50s music and all this stuff, and, like, you're meeting all these new characters and it's fun, and the movie comes out with a bang for the first 40 minutes to an hour. First half of the movie comes out with a bang. I'm smiling the whole time. I'm like, hey, I'm digging this.
This is cool. This is cool. Yeah.
I'm digging this. Now, it does a shift into a little slower pace, but it has to establish what is happening to this original innocent idea of a motorcycle gang, of a motorcycle club. See, I keep on wanting to say
I
gang.
know, that's why I'm glad you called me out initially when you said the gang. I'm like, yeah, it's just, I think we're just so used to calling it motorcycle gangs.
Yeah.
But it's a club. It's absolutely a club. It's
a club of friends.
It's a club of friends.
It's like a pickleball club.
Yeah.
You go and start your pickleball
maybe a little bit more intense, but
a little bit more intense. They get a little bit drunker.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are drunk pickleballers.
I mean, that's probably true too.
Yeah.
But I think they're like, they have
I know some of them.
Yeah.
They're like '60s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think the thing about this is, right, there are these rules that are established initially, and then we see, without giving too much away, that the club starts to expand. It starts to get bigger. And then these rules start to kind of get, pushed out of proportion a little bit, where maybe these new kind of other people that are joining the club are making their own rules. And now what are the sacred rules, and what are the new rules, and who enforces them? And there's all these questions that come up, and you're like, are you part of the old club or the new gang, right? Because that kind of is the distinction, I think.
That is the movie.
Film. Yeah.
That is the movie. So basically you have the old school guys not battling, because there is no battle, but like you see the new school guys, and especially the new school guys that are coming back from Vietnam, that are on harder drugs, that have seen some stuff. Like, we're talking about a motorcycle gang that was started by a guy watching movies.
Exactly.
And he just enjoys motorcycles. He has a regular family, regular job. He hasn't killed nobody.
Yeah.
He hasn't, like, tortured nobody in Vietnam. He hasn't done any of this crazy stuff in war, right? So now you got these new guys coming in after the war, and it's just the clashing of that. Yeah. And that's basically what this movie is. And it does a very good job of not only capturing the time period, but it does a very good job of capturing what it feels like from Kathy, Jodie
Comer.
Jodie Comer, Kathy's character, who's the narrator of most of it. It captures the feeling of being an outsider and not being into motorcycles and not being into that lifestyle, and then coming into that lifestyle through somebody that you're either really attracted to or in love with. You know what I mean? And so it's a cool movie to show, like, the origination of, loving something. And, and other people loving it too. You're friends with them, and so you want to love it together, and so you just love it.
And you could see, like, hey, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it too. And you can see this family, right, of this motorcycle club.
And they're all good guys.
None
of them are like villains.
I think it's a respect thing. And
heavily violent. Like,
no,
they're all good, regular people.
You can see that they're a little bit rough around the edges to start, but they don't have malevolent intentions, right?
Exactly.
And so when you kind of see this outsider being brought into the club via, a loved one, like, this is my new girlfriend who I care about, whatever, and now she's essentially part of the club. So people treat her as so. Like, they're not going to be like, I'm going to disrespect this girl and, anything like that. It's like, now you're a part of the family. Yeah. Unless you do something to, like, really disrespect me, then maybe not. But it's really a respect thing. And then it just gets blown so out of proportion because of people with big egos that they kind of use it as like a scapegoat to be like, hey, I can be a part of this club and I can do whatever I want and be as badass as I want, like, be rebellious and, like, right? That's kind of what comes into play, and you see these other characters that kind of see that and they think like, oh, I want to be like that, but I want to be my version of that because I have all these feelings and emotions that I can't express, and I'm not the leader of any group. I'm just by myself, but I want to feel that power. And sometimes that power doesn't come from a good place, right? Yeah. Whereas the originators of this club, it's coming from a place of love. How many times do we say gang?
Is it a gang or is it a club?
It depends on what part of the movie we're talking about.
Right? Yeah. So overall, I think this movie did a very good job of, like, the pacing was good. The pacing was good. I did
like the pacing,
even though it slowed down in the last half of the movie, as a movie, you can't have breakneck speed and excitement of meeting these new characters and what is this whole concept, right? You can't maintain that through the whole movie. So I feel like the movie did a good job of maintaining a proper pace to where there was no time in it that we watched that I was just like, all right, let's go to the next scene. There was never a point in that. And this is not like an action movie. This is a drama.
It's a drama, yeah.
This is a drama. it's just well acted. So, you know what? Like, the thing about movies like this is the script is not bad.
No.
The acting is not bad. The set design and the overall feel of it
Costume
is
design,
not bad.
yeah, all
it's,
that.
it's not bad. None
Yeah.
of these things are bad. But none of these things are like great.
Like spectacular. Like it's not,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I
It's-
think this was an interesting experience for me and Coot in that we were watching it together, but not with an audience. So we were able to kind of have a little commentary between us as we were watching it.
We were
and
definitely
I think,
able to talk more.
Yeah. And as that was happening, we were trying to kind of guess what's going to happen.
Yep.
Well, oh, this is leading towards this.
Yep.
And I think I will give it credit that it took a route that I did not think it would take.
Yes.
Right? In certain moments.
Now, see, what we were saying was stereotypical
Yes.
plot points.
Yeah.
That we were thinking like, oh, this dude's gonna be against this guy.
So, yeah.
This dude's gonna cause trouble. Even though I
Exactly.
was spot on about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but like, that's cool.
But I
It's
appreciated
cool.
that it didn't do what we thought it was
It's
going to
cool,
do.
and at the same time, I feel like this movie wasn't as big as it could have been if
Yeah.
it did the plot that we both thought was gonna happen.
Yes.
The expected plot
Yeah.
of, okay, this guy's gonna be versus this guy.
Yeah. And I think it could have taken the plot that we had and then still thrown in some kind of a twist that maybe we didn't think about, and then it would have been an amazing movie. Not to say that it isn't still a great movie,
Yeah, it's
because
good. It's
it was good. Like I
it was real
definitely, if I had seen this
was
in
very good.
theaters, I would have still had the same feeling of like, that was great, good acting. It was able. I think when a movie can take you to this place, take you outside of where you're at, and put you somewhere else successfully, then it's done its job, right? And I think, especially with the costume design, they were very
Meticulous.
well. They were meticulous and like maybe even too much. Where like, man, these guys, I don't know if they just didn't
Never
have
take
access to
showers. Yeah.
showers or they didn't.
They never
there
do
was
their
no
laundry.
local laundromat. Like I really was.
And see, the funny thing about that is Kathy was always clean.
Kathy was
Like
clean.
everything she
And
always had on
also,
was super clean.
Johnny was clean too. I feel like his hair was
clean.
slicked back.
But see, Johnny was the family man. Johnny had a wife and kids.
True.
So
Yeah.
Johnny's wife and kids. Why wasn't Kathy doing Benny's laundry?
Yeah.
You
I'm
know
trying
what
to
I
think
mean?
who was the.
Benny is Austin
Michael
Butler.
Shannon was also in this film, and he was.
Oh, he looked
filthy.
rough. Yeah, he looked rough. Dude.
And then
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus came in at the end, and
Sheesh.
oh my gosh,
Norman Reedus'
Dude.
mouth like was black.
he looked cleaner in what was that? Was his main show? It was
Walking Dead.
Yeah, he looked cleaner in The Walking Dead.
In an apocalypse, he looks
Yeah.
cleaner.
Yeah.
Dude had baby teeth. Dude had so much gingivitis.
Yes.
His teeth
Oh.
were black. He had so much gingivitis that it looked like he had baby teeth. His gums
It
were
was
so
not.
fat.
It was not great.
Like it was, his breath, bruh.
What was his nickname?
You
It
could
was
smell.
funny
you could
Sonny.
smell northern. You could smell Norman Reedus. Bro.
Yes. Funny Sonny
Trust.
was his name, and maybe it's because he was a character, or maybe it's because he smelled a little funny. I don't know.
Dude.
We'll never know.
We could smell him while we watched it. I was just like, yo, I got Dolby Atmos here in the studio, and I was like, yo, I didn't know we had like smell-o-vision.
I
up
didn't
in
know
here.
either until we watched this.
4D up in here, dude. So
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think? What do you think about it? What do you want to give it?
Okay. So with a movie like this, right? It a pretty well-known cast, I would say. They all have their moments. Obviously, the big three, you're looking at them right here, which is Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, and Tom Hardy. And I think it's still a great film, and the rating I'm going to give it is going to reflect that. But I'm just like, man, it's another one of those things where I think it could have gotten to a different point. I'm not a filmmaker, right? So maybe I don't know exactly how it should have ended or what could have been. But I still enjoyed it a lot. There was still plenty of twists, in my opinion, that I wasn't expecting. So given that, I would say a solid 7.
Solid 7. So it's
Solid
good.
7.
So it's
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yeah. What do you
All right,
think?
So, upon contemplating things, I think that I'm going to have to go with A 7 too, and
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with a 7 because even though the ideas that we had for the plot were generic and stereotypical of like this is what's gonna happen, right? We were
Sure.
so sure like, oh, this is what's gonna happen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I feel like if those things happened, even though they were generic and even though they were stereotypical, I would have liked it more.
Yeah.
I would have liked it more, even though our ideas were unoriginal.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have liked it more if it went the generic route of the storyline that we thought it was going to go, of the conclusion. Or
Yep.
not the conclusion, but just the overall conflict. Because
Yes.
the conflict in this movie is old versus new, and how the new is a little bit more reckless than the old school. You know, they have morals, they have blah blah. These new guys, they don't have no morals.
Yeah, no.
They're gonna do drugs.
They're in
They're
it
gonna
for all the
sell
wrong
them.
reasons.
They're gonna do illegal stuff. They're
Yeah.
gonna this club versus gang.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And that is the conflict of the movie. I feel like we wanted more of a conflict, an interpersonal conflict.
Yep.
In within the gang.
Yeah.
Which would have made us feel like it was more entertaining. But the director chose to go the route of saying what really happened. And that didn't really happen in this gang. And so Jeff Nichols,
Yep.
yeah, so he kept it true to the book, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because it does not do the stereotypical interpersonal conflict that you would think it's going to do.
Yeah.
You know, from the setup in the beginning, you think it's going to do a certain thing, and it doesn't. Now, does that make the movie less entertaining? No. I was entertained the whole time. If it would have done that interpersonal conflict between the gang, I probably would have been more entertained, but it would have been more fictional.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the balancing that you have to do.
And I think the big thing about this film is like loyalty and family,
Yeah.
and I think that interpersonal conflict that we were imagining kind of goes against those values. So if you're thinking about this as a real human story,
Yeah, and the main dudes are good dudes.
And they're
it's
good
not
people,
like,
yeah.
When you think of a motorcycle gang, you're thinking like, oh, they're just willing to stab each other in the back and all that.
like yeah.
These guys are good guys. Like
They-
they're not the motorcycle. They're not a gang. They're a club.
I would say even there was some things that I thought were going to happen for the stereotypical motorcycle gang that didn't, because it was still in the club era, I guess we could say, right, of the film. And
Before it got into illegal activities
Yes.
and everybody killing people and
I think people will be surprised to know that this, because everybody thinks of just motorcycle gangs. So when you see the Bikeriders, you're like, oh, it's going to be like the origin of motorcycle gangs. And like, yes, that could be true for sure, but you don't really think about how did it get there? And where did it start? And was it from a good place? Did it just start off as a bad thing that just evolved and that everybody bought into? Or was it something that was meant to be a good thing that was then misconstrued and expanded by the wrong people to become something bigger than they could control?
To some people, I feel like this movie is going to be an 8.
Yeah.
This movie will be
For
an
sure.
8 for some people. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, it's at 80%.
It's at 80%.
Yeah,
I think
you know what I mean?
for audiences, maybe 75.
Yeah, so this is definitely a 7.5 movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an 8 solely just because it was. So this is one of those movies where it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. Will I ever watch it again? Maybe not, because major things didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if there was some more dramatic things that happened throughout, then maybe I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
But I can't see myself, even though I purchased the movie tonight. We purchased it.
We'll watch it again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we have to. We have it.
We own it now. We were gonna rent it, and it was like $3 more to buy it. I was like, oh, we'll just buy it.
$5 and $5, $10.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, You should definitely see it.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
It's a good movie.
I
It's
think
a good movie.
I think it was one of those films where, at least from a box office perspective, when it came out, it was going up against Inside Out 2. I'm pretty sure.
Some heavy hitters.
Yeah, it was like
going up
late
against some heavy
June,
hitters,
right? Early summer, and it was just like it didn't get its due. Like it should have performed better, and I think it flew under the radar, and a lot of people probably didn't see it. So.
Yeah.
As far as our
Well,
recommendation,
that's why we didn't see it, because like we're movie watchers.
we watch movies all the time,
and this
and we
was
missed
one of
this
those movies that slipped through.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go see The Substance tonight, which will be next week. We will do a review on The Substance with Demi Moore. And we were supposed to go see that, but there was a power outage at the mall, so they like closed it all down, barricaded and everything.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's go watch something at the studio, and we'll do a streaming episode. And this was one of the movies that was like, this is freshly rentable.
Yes.
To rent it, yeah, you should rent it. You should even buy it. It's $10.
Yeah.
It's $10 to buy it. Instead of rent it, just buy it. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good. I can't see myself watching it again, but it was good.
I'll twist his arm. We'll watch it again.
Yeah. Maybe a couple of years from now, I'll watch it again just to remind myself. Because there were some cool scenes of like biker bad assness.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were a couple of scenes of
There
that.
were a few of those.
But you know what it was because they were a club and not a gang. I feel like if they were a gang and they were doing illegal stuff and doing all the terrible stuff,
Yeah.
I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
But since it was a club and since it was the beginning of that, it's kind of like
it's a tough thing because
not too much drama really happens.
I respect the originality of the story and the evolution of the club to gang, but you were kind of hoping for, not to give much away, but like a different kind of evolution.
Yeah, I wanted a little bit more griminess. I wanted a little bit more hardness. I wanted a little bit more heavy hitting.
Yes.
But since this movie is based on the original club, before it was grimy and dirty and illegal and killing people and stuff, it would have been more entertaining for it to be a gang. But I think as a club, it's a good movie because it shows you, like, especially if you are in a motorcycle club and you want to stop people from saying like, yo, I'm not in a gang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This would be the movie.
This would be the movie to convince people like, look, this started from an innocent place. You know what I mean? Just because you see Hell's Angels and all these different Sons of Anarchy and The Mayans is a TV show now, but like, just because you see that take on motorcycle clubs, that does not mean that that's where it came from. And so I will give credit to this movie of not just being Sopranos of motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's somewhere between Sons of Anarchy and Wild Hogs, right? Like, it's like, hey, I want that camaraderie, but I'm not this hardcore crazy guy.
They're good guys. They're good guys.
They're good guys.
They're not violent. They're not, they may get in a scrap. They may get in a fight or two, but they're not trying to kill people.
No. And you can see the mutual respect between different gangs throughout this film in the early part of the film.
Exactly.
Where they're like, okay,
fight it out.
Hey,
and that's what it is.
We both scrapped it out, and
we respect each other. We can ride together, type of thing.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's good. You should definitely see it.
7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Good movie. What's the last? So this is the first 7. Wait, no. So we gave Beetlejuice a 7.
I think.
Because that was a different score.
Oh, yeah.
I did 6, you did 8. We gave it a 7.
Yes, you're right.
But this is truly the first mutual 7 out of 10 movie.
Yep.
This is the mutual.
And also the first of the streaming edition.
Yeah, this is the first of the streaming. So this will happen more. Because I feel like we could actually do more streaming than actually going to the theater, watching the theater, then coming back to the studio, then recording. We were already in the studio, so it was like, okay, boom, let's record.
So recommendations for streaming, because I know everybody's going to be streaming.
Boom,
if you ever want to send them our way, we'll absolutely stream it and let you know how we feel about it.
If you have any recommendations, we are definitely down to watch anything. We've already watched the first episode of Penguin, so that's out.
Oh, yeah.
I wish we would have watched that together, though, because that would have been cool. We could have started that together.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes with the streaming. We may do some TV shows.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Well.
All right. Well, this was Fresh Out, the streaming edition.
Streaming edition.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm JC.
And I'm Cood.
And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. See the movie. It's good.
See it.
It's
See you next
good.
week.
This is a good picture, by the way.
Yeah.
That
Pretty
picture's
solid.
Great. Look at Austin.
Look at that camaraderie. And yeah.
Jeez, look at
Also,
that baby
yeah.
smooth
He
skin,
was
dude.
smoldering most of the film, too.
He was smoldering.
He was pulling it off, too.
All right. All right. Peace.
See
Thanks,
ya.
guys. No, but those bikes look comfortable because I've been around a lot of bikes because I worked at a place called Bike Shed. Bike Shed LA. It's in downtown LA. It's still going on.
Shout out.
Shout out to them, even though they fired me.
Oh, no.